JD here, and as you can see, we are back on F1 22, and in today's video, as you can already see by the title, seems to be a very frequent subject that we are talking about here, and that is with cheating, and back again on this game, and back again on PC. And before I do the comparison of the lap that is in question, or I don't think it is in question, I think it is pretty painfully obvious, we're going to do a lap ourselves. I actually did this earlier today, didn't spend that many laps on this, and let me get this straight. Before this video really starts, please don't contact this person. I don't condone any abuse or anything at all, just don't even bother contacting them. The bigger picture here is about just deterring people from doing this in the first place and what needs to be done to prevent it from even happening. And this is me doing a 23.0 round Abu Dhabi. And I'm not the fastest player in the world. I'm not going to say I am or anything at all. But I feel like I'm a fairly experienced, fairly reasonably fast driver on this game, and after a few laps, for the fourth lap, I didn't think it was really too much of a bad effort. And we will be doing a bit of a side-by-side comparison, but yeah, if you just watch this up here, it's pretty clean. Yes, can gain quite a bit of time. The world record is a 21.7 by Thomas Ronhar, who's over a 10th clear, which is just absolutely nuts. And this is exactly the same setup that he was running. I think realistically for me, maybe over an hour or so, maybe a 22.5, 22.4, maybe something like that. So not really too bad. And coming around across the line, coming around the last corner, pretty steady. And it's going to be a 23.075. But now, if we move on to this, let's take a look. So we will do a bit of a breakdown, but just look at some full speed right now. Yeah, third gear through turn one is not really the gear you want to be using, so that should be costing quite a bit of time. See if the steering, a little bit erratic with the steering, but you're about to see again, coming to this corner, braking very early, very late in the turn in, and very cautious on the power. And as we go down the straight here, it's mainly, I'd say, in this middle sector as well, where the suspicion lies quite a bit. So again, braking pretty early into this, keeping it in second gear all the time, so almost flat out in second gear. Not an ounce of oversteer or loss of traction or anything at all. But yeah, as we go through into this left-hander, this is just... yeah, has a couple of stabs at the gears going down to fourth to fifth, then back down to fourth. And then if you watch this corner here, goes incredibly deep through there. Very hesitant on the throttle once again. Even coming for his right-hander, he actually takes a little lift going through there into his last corner. And coming across the line, what's the time going to be? It's a 23.048, so that's faster than the lap that I did. And now we're going to have a bit of a breakdown. So on the bottom left, this is actually my telemetry, so I lined it up as best as I could. So we're going to break this down a bit, and coming through, the speed is the same coming into turn one. But if you look at the minimum speed, the apex speed, and also the inputs, you can see his minimum speed. It's not a huge difference, but 7 kilometers an hour is quite big. We get on the throttle much earlier. He gets on the throttle much later because he doesn't do that corner particularly great. But as we come through to here, he's now got even more speed despite getting a worse exit. And this first sector, he actually does a 17.1, which is F1 Esports pole pace. That is just absolutely crazy. And again, coming to here, he brakes very, very early. You can see we're releasing the brakes quicker. And as we get towards his apex, let's see what the minimum speed is. And that is a massive difference. That's 18 kilometers an hour difference. That is, yeah, pretty substantial. And come off exit, you can see again, we're much earlier on the throttle. So because we're earlier on the throttle, this is where we are gaining the time. So going on the throttle, we do gain the time. And you can see on the exit, we have gained that time. So about 7 kilometers an hour faster. But as we come down the straight, as we pause here, he's already pretty much back on terms. So that means he might even be running a lower downforce setup, which still has more grip during the corners. Coming towards the end of the straight, he brakes very early. We're about, I think, almost the same speed. I think he might be even going faster going down straight. So he brakes very, very early. Re-release the brakes a bit quicker once again. And let's take a look at the apex speed as we come through into here. See 15 kilometers an hour faster. It's, yeah, doesn't seem like much, but it does add up quite a bit during the lap. And as we see on the exit, he stays in second gear through here. We're up into third, and you can see pretty similar speeds for here. But that's because we're actually going on the throttle. So he's not even on the throttle, but he's almost the same speed. And you can see we're going on the throttle much more, using much more of the track. And if we take a look at the speed on the exit, you can see this, again, this is a place where we actually do gain time because we are much earlier on the throttle. But again, as he gets in the DRS and goes up towards the speed, he's exactly the same despite getting a much, much worse exit and coming off in second gear of that corner. But it's coming through into here. See, we're the same speed going into it. And so we come through to this stuff now. And yeah, this is where there is a pretty big difference. And as we pause it now, 189 kilometers an hour, we're going 164 kilometers an hour. And yeah, just all throughout this corner, the medium to low speed corners is where the time really is gained. And you can see that just carries itself. You see, he gets a much worse exit because we're taking a bit of a better line earlier on the power. Coming to this one, this is where we gain most of our time on him. So you can see he's going faster again despite getting a worse exit from the previous corner. So this time he actually makes a really big mistake. So he goes in really deep. So if he didn't make this mistake, this would have been maybe even 2 or 3 attempts faster. You can see going through all this section, this is where we are actually going quicker because we're just doing a much better line at this stage of the lap. But then coming off this corner, as you come to here, we go flat out. He takes a little lift. And you can see he's only 1 kilometer an hour down, but then on the exit of it, and we pause it here again, he's back up on the same speed. So he gets up to speed very quickly as well. Coming through this last corner, you can see again that minimum speed, big difference. We get a better exit by us going on a throttle, and yeah, his lap was actually faster than ours. And I've been doing quite a bit of digging into this, and I will be making a video in the future discussing some of the details that I have been looking into. But in a nutshell, it seems that a lot of these drivers are employing or deploying the same grip. So it's actually the same process that is being used each time. And one of the problems of this game is that it runs on a P2P server, so it's not a dedicated server, which technically means every driver is driving a different track to one another. And that is where the problem lies, is that drivers can actually alter the conditions for their own track, and other drivers are effectively almost driving on a different surface. So a lot of this is actually down to the friction involved. That's what kind of has been uncovered and has been discussed. As I said, we will be doing a video on this with a lot more detail in the future, but this definitely needs to be controlled, definitely needs to be stopped, because the anti-cheat software in the F1 game for F1 esports isn't really enough at this stage, and it's encouraging drivers who are not even on an esports level. That guy, without being too disrespectful, was in PSGL F11. So people who are doing it in that division, imagine what could be potentially happening when an esports level driver is using maybe a 0.1% grip advantage. So yeah, please let me know your thoughts once again. please don't harass the person or abuse or anything at all. I just really want it to be a discussion about what are the steps and what needs to happen, because this is becoming all too familiar at this stage. But that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for the support on the channel, and I'll be catching you very, very soon. Peace.